Hello, this is Jared Castagna. Just wanted to talk about my case studies for echocardiography. This first one is involving a pericardial effusion. The patient is a male, 49 years old, 5'4", 150 pounds. Reasons for the echo are shortness of breath, hypertension, pericardial effusion, and pericarditis. So a couple different things going on there. When the patient walked in, the patient was really small, had a lot of surgical scars all over the abdomen, had two big prominent bulges on either forearm, and I thought that might be from hemodialysis, but also appeared to have some other facial congenital abnormalities. And again, these are supposed to be videos, but I can't get the videos to play. But our initial observations from the parasternal long axis, we can see the pericardial effusion way down here. We can see left ventricular hypertrophy from having to work a little harder, and we can see an enlarged left atrium. And again, the enlarged left atrium, yep, large. And we can also see that we're at the upper limit of the aortic diameter. The aortic diameter is 2 to 3.7. This patient's aortic diastolic diameter was 3.6. So at the upper end of that value. Caliper placement on the aortic valve opening says 2.16. This measurement looked a little off to me, so I remeasured and I got 1.53. Which is at the very lower limit for normal for the aortic valve opening. Here's an M mode of the pericardial effusion showing that it's 3.25 centimeters. This is listed as moderate, but I think it's more moderate to large. The ejection fraction, well, first the interventricular septum was 2.24, posterior wall is 1.2. This indicates some symmetrical hypertrophy. And again, the diastolic diameter was 5.6, which means the left ventricle is a little large. The ejection fraction came out to be 60%. When we put color on the parasternal long axis, we can see a little moderate mitral insufficiency or mitral regurg. That should be mitral regurg, not MI. Here are parasternal short axis views, starting with the apex, then going to the papillary level, which is we see there. Mitral valve is a very limited view, but it does show that mitral function. We can see the aortic valve is trileaflet. The short axis view also gives you partial view of the tricuspid and pulmonary valves. Putting color on the aortic valve shows that there's no insufficiency. We did see a trace pulmonary insufficiency that was on the report, but I think it looks a little more than that. I think it looks mild when you look at the videos. A continuous wave was not taken on the PI jet, but it definitely should have been. Peak pulmonary velocity was 1.0 meters per second, which means the pressure gradient was 4 millimeters of mercury. That is all still within normal range. The tricuspid valve regurg measured 2.8 meters per second. So the right RVPS is 42.4 millimeters of mercury. Because with Sergio's group, we add 10 millimeters of mercury instead of 5. From the apical 4 views, we can see the LV function, the mitral valve function, and a little tricuspid function. The left atrium did measure 4.9. Anything under 4.5 is considered normal. The mitral jet was listed as moderate, but I think it looks a little closer to severe. It's definitely on the borderline between moderate and severe. As you can see, the jet comes all the way to the back wall of the left atrium. E to A values. E to A values were 1.06. which looks like it has normal diastolic function, but that is not the case. When we do a tissue Doppler on the lateral wall, we can see that the E to E prime is 17. Anything larger than 13 is elevated. So we know that something's a little off here. And then we have the patient Valsalva, and we get an E to A of a diastolic dysfunctioning E to A. So the initial E to A ratio looked normal because it was compensated. Now the diastolic dysfunction, when Valsalva, it actually shows the dysfunction. Color in the apical force shows this little trace TR. When we measure that, again, it comes out to 41.1, which is similar to what we got earlier. Apical 5 shows aortic valve function. That's a little cute. I love echo. Apical 5 shows us the LVOT and shows us that there's no aortic insufficiency. The aortic velocity is normal, and the pressure gradient is 11 millimeters of mercury. In the LVOT, the velocity is 1.4 meters per second with a 7.2 millimeters of mercury. In the A3 view, we can see the LA, the LV, and the aortic function. When we put color on there, we can see that mitral regurg. Then we look at the IVC to see that it's phasic. And we actually happen to see some of these multicystic liver disease in the patient's liver. And there's the report. I hope you enjoyed it.